What's up, fam? Welcome back to Freedom Found Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Amy P, and today we're going to be brutally honest, okay? You know what I'm tired of hearing? I'm actually tired of hearing that God's not speaking to me. Because listen, 9 times out of 10, God is speaking to you, okay? We're just not listening. We're not doing the last thing that He's actually asked us to do. And worse, we're listening, but we're not moving our feet. So today we're doing an obedience audit. Okay, so last week we actually did a roots audit. Today we're going to do an obedience audit. We're going all the way back through those spiritual voicemails to find the messages you've been ignoring. Because here's the truth. God doesn't give new instructions to people who have not followed the last ones. Be real. Have you obeyed what God has said to you? So I hope you're ready to get uncomfortable, because I'm all about moving you out of that comfort zone into the growth zone, because that's what God wants for us. You ready? Let's get it.
You're looking for that freedom found.
All right, let me ask you something. When was the last time you went back and listened to your spiritual voicemails? That's what I'm calling them. The last time you actually flipped through your Bible, looked at all the highlights that you've made, all the sticky notes you've had, all the journal posts that you've, written in your journal when God is speaking to you. When was the last time you actually looked back at those things? You know what I'm talking about. Those moments when God actually spoke clearly about, forgiving the person, starting that business, ending that relationship, taking that risk, leaving the job, going back to the job, having that conversation, making whatever change you need to make. Instead of acting on it, though, guess what you did? You made excuses. You asked for confirmation after confirmation. You're waiting for the perfect time. You've gotten distracted by other things. You've talked yourself out of it. And now you're wondering, why is God quiet? Why is He not speaking to me? You're asking the question, is God still speaking? But friends, here's the reality. God is not obligated to give you a new word until you obey the last one. Think about it in human terms. If you gave someone clear instructions and they ignored you over and over again, they never did what you said, would you keep giving them the same old instructions? Would you do that? Or would you wait for them to actually do what you've already asked them to do? The Bible talks about not merely listening to the word and deceiving ourselves. It says you got to do what it says. Hearing is not the same as obeying. Knowing is not the same as doing. Okay? So we need to do this audit real quick. All right, so let's get into this audit. I want you guys to go grab a piece of paper, and a pen or a pencil, because you're going to have to really write these things down. I want you to think back, really start asking yourself these questions so you can see if you're actually being obedient or not. It's going to take about 10 minutes. So hang in there with me, okay? Let's do this audit together. I want you to be honest about what we walk through this process too. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest. So here's what you want to do. Step 1 is going to be called Recent Revelations Review, okay? So I want you to think back over the last 6 to 12 months. And I want you to ask yourself, what has God been consistently bringing to your attention? Really think back about 6 to 12 months. What is God saying? What has He been consistently bringing up to your attention? Maybe it's like a relationship that you need to heal. Maybe it's a habit that you know you need to break. Maybe it's a dream that you need to launch, that you need to push through and launch. Maybe it's a conversation that you need to have with someone. Maybe it's a boundary that it needs setting in order to protect your peace. Maybe it's a risk that needs taking, and you need to trust God that He got you. You need to write these things down. Don't just think about it, okay? I need you to write it down. Make it plain, all right? What has God actually been bringing up for you over the last 6 to 12 months? Step 2, I'm calling this the excuse examination. So for each item that you wrote down, I need you to ask yourself, what excuse have I been using to avoid taking action here? What excuse, have I been using to avoid this? Common excuses I hear all the time. Here's some things I hear all the time. I'm waiting for the right time. When is the right time? Have you identified when the right time is? What is it? Here's another one. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough support, whatever it is. Another one I hear is, what if it don't work out? What if it don't work out? Okay, what if it do work out though? I would rather lean towards what if it does work out and celebrate that versus what if it doesn't work out? I mean, you don't know the answer either way. So you might as well lean on the positive side, right? Another excuse I hear is, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I'm not really going to have that conversation. Okay, but what about your feelings? Are your feelings hurt? Do you have peace? And you're holding out this conversation because you're afraid of someone else's feelings? We can do these things in love. We don't need to attack someone when we're trying to address something that doesn't work out. Another one I hear all the time is, I'm not ready yet. Okay, when will you be ready? What does it look like to be ready? Do you know? You probably want to write that down then if you're dealing with this. I'm not ready. That's an excuse. Here's the hard truth. If you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting forever. Because when will you be ready? Do you know? Does anybody know? Just move. Just move. All right, step 3 is, I call this cost calculation. What is your disobedience actually costing you? Financially. Are you staying in a job that's underpaying you because you're afraid to actually ask for what you're worth? What about emotionally? Are you carrying some type of resentment because you haven't forgiven someone God told you to forgive? This forgiveness is for you and your heart. What about spiritually? Are you feeling distant from God because you're avoiding what he's asking you to do? What about relationally? Are you staying in a toxic relationship because you're afraid of the confrontation? So you rather be toxic? Whoa. What about professionally? Are you staying small because you're afraid of the responsibility that comes with growth? So you would rather stay small? The cost of disobedience is always higher than the cost of obedience. I'm telling you. All right, step 4, obedience obstacles. I'm calling this step obedience obstacles. Ask yourself, what's really stopping you? Let's get to the root. We did root work in another episode. Is it fear? Are you saying, is the root like fear and you're asking yourself, what if I fail? If that's what you're dealing with, remember that God is not asking you to be successful. He's asking you to be obedient. That's what he's asking you. It's not about your success. It's actually, God is not asking you, God is not worried about your success. He's asking you to be obedient. Is the root pride? What will people think? Is that what you're thinking? What will people think? You need to ask yourself, am I living for God's approval or people's applause, people's approval? Which one are you living for? You can't do both. Are you dealing with perfectionism? Are you asking yourself, are you thinking I need to have it all figured out first before I move? God gives directions, not destinations. He's going to constantly be calling you to him. He's going to constantly be calling you to these assignments to use all the things that he's put in you and how he's purposed you in this earth to do what he desires for you to do. He's going to give you direction, but he's not going to say where he wants you to go. I'm just saying. He's just going to say, go. And then the clarity is going to come after you move your feet because he's wanting to know if you trust him or not. You only need to see the next step, friends. That's all you need to see. All right, step 4, obedience obstacles. That's what I'm calling this step. What's really stopping you? Let's get to the root. Okay, we've already talked about uprooting and doing some root analysis, kind of doing the root audit or whatever, but let's get to the root because we're dealing with obedience. If we're going to be obedient, we got to figure out what's stopping us from actually moving forward. What's stopping us from doing what God said? So is it fear? Is that root, what if I fail? Are you dealing with that voice in your head that says, what if I fail? The solution to that is to remember that God's not asking you to be successful. He's asking you to be obedient. Just move, do what he says. He's going to fill the rest. Is the root pride? Is that voice in your head saying, what will people think? The solution to that is ask yourself, am I living for God's approval or people's applause? You got to uproot the pride. We already know that pride comes before the fall. We can't be out here leaning and moving towards what people think, wanting the likes, wanting the applause. Are you living for that? Or are you living for God? You're going to have to make this decision. You cannot serve both masters. I'm just being real. Is the root perfectionism? Is the voice in your head saying, I need to have it all figured out first? The solution to that is God gives directions, not destinations. You only need to see the next step. There's comfort in that. Is your root comfort? Are you comfortable? And you're like, the voice in your head is saying, this is easier than change. I would rather just stay here because I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. I'm comfortable. It's easier to do that versus jumping and actually going to pursue my value around something else. The solution to that is to remember that comfort zones is where your dreams go to die, friends. Being comforted all the time. Comfortable all the time. See, if you want to grow, you got to be okay with the stretching. That's where the growth actually happens. It's outside of your comfort zone. It's not in your comfort zone. Is the root control? Is the voice in your head saying, I can't control the outcome? So you're worried? The solution to that is you're not supposed to control the outcome. You're supposed to trust the one who does control the outcome. So you got to get out of your own mind thinking that you have to be in charge or in control of everything. So now that you've identified what you need to do, let's talk about how to actually do it. Because it's easier said than done, like just writing this stuff down, but it's harder to actually take the steps. So let's talk about how you actually can do these things, okay? I call this the 24-hour rule. Whatever God has been telling you to do, take one step toward it in the next 24 hours. Not the whole staircase. Don't worry about all that. Just one step. Yes, I know your dreams are probably big. If they scare you, that means it's going to take God to get there. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing if your dream is actually scaring you. But don't worry about the entire thing and how things are going to come to fruition. Just trust the one who gave it to you. Take the first step within the next 24 hours. If it's starting a business, register the domain name. Go out there, irs.gov, register that doggone LLC, register your name, purchase the domain for your website, and now we can get things moving, okay? If it's having a conversation, send the text asking, to meet. Go ahead and send the text message. If it's forgiving someone, write the letter. Even if you haven't sent it yet, write the letter. Go ahead and get the words on paper. If it's ending a relationship, have the conversation. If it's taking a risk, make the call. Momentum creates momentum. It creates momentum. You gotta move your feet before you start running in order to see these things come to fruition, okay? And the last part is the accountability factor. While you're actually moving your feet and doing these things, find someone that can hold you accountable. Tell someone what you're going to do, okay? And when you're going to do it. Not someone who will co-sign your excuses, but someone who will hold you accountable to your commitment. Don't go out here getting somebody that's just going to tell you whatever that's going to make you happy or that's going to satisfy your comfort. You got to find someone that's going to speak into what God is saying to help you be obedient, to help you obey the word that God actually has said to you. And while you're doing all this, I just want you to remember to maybe start to transition your mind to have this obedience mindset over this outcome mindset. You got to shift the way you think. Everything needs to be about obedience, not about the outcome. Don't worry about the outcome. Your job is obedience, not outcome. God is not asking you to guarantee any type of success. He's not looking for any type of KPIs and OKRs and all the things. He's asking you to guarantee faithfulness. Do you trust me? That's all he's asking you. You need to focus on being faithful, okay? Not flawless, not reaching some type of outcome. Just focus on being faithful. Those things will follow you. They will follow you when you focus on being faithful to what God has already said. All right? So here's your assignment. What's one thing you're going to do in the next 24 hours to move from hearing to doing? Tell me in the comments. What's one thing you're going to do in the next 24 hours to move from hearing to doing? And I want you to share this episode with someone who's been stuck in analysis paralysis. They just stuck. Sometimes we actually need someone else to remind us that God has already spoken to us. We just need to move our feet. All right? And so next week, we're going to wrap up this series. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it. It's been blessing me. going back, listening to these episodes. I actually started this thing based on a question that was asked in my Instagram post. And so I hope that this series is actually blessing you. But we're going to wrap it up next week when we talk about hearing God's voice in your career, like how to hear his voice in your career, because knowing God's will for your work life is key to everything else. Okay. Until then, stop waiting for permission and start walking in obedience. I'll see you next time.
You're looking for that freedom, freedom, freedom.